Okay, so we're going to continue talking about conducting a fire attack. In this one, we're going to go over infantry specifically. So this is going to be covering how to conduct an attack with your infantry. Now, when I say that, they can perform group attacks. Remember, we talked about that previously, but that doesn't include ordnance support weapons, weapon teams, or armored fighting vehicles. So if you have more than one that's conducting the attack as part of infantry only, you pick a lead unit and the rest of them have their firepower halved and rounded up. Okay? But for our example, we're just going to have infantry squad here fire against the SS squad. So you're going to get your total firepower factors, all right? So that's the total number of any firepower that's being used. In our case, it's simple. It's just a 1, that little red circle there. And then any modifiers that will apply, you will add to that or subtract from it as well. And then you're going to add that to a D6 check, which means you're drawing one of your action cards and you're going to flip it and just look whatever number is up there. In this case, we got a 5. All right, so we're going to add that total together. That gives us a 6 when we're conducting our attack. Keep in mind that if you do have a natural 6 on this D6 check, you do have to check for out of ammo. Now, when we're conducting this fire attack, at this point, the defending unit is going to perform their own D6 check, and they're going to add any defensive modifiers they have. We can see here the SS squad is in clear terrain. We don't have any degrading terrain between us or anything. So this is going to be simple. We don't have any defensive modifiers to add, so we will just draw a D6 check for them, and for them, they got a 3. At this point, you're going to compare the total of the results, all right? We've got a 6 versus a 3. If the defending unit's result had been higher, then the attack would have been a miss and you would just be done, right? That would be complete at this point. But our attacker was higher than the defender, so they have hit. All right, now this is a part where it can get just a little bit confusing. But if you hit for each unit that is hit and affected by the attack, you're going to do a D6 check. So it's not a D6 check for the sector, it's a D6 check for each unit that got hit. So we will draw a D6. In this case, we got another 6. Cool, this is great. What we do at this point is we add the difference between the attacker and the defender's totals from the original attack, right? So we have the 6 for the attacker, the 3 for the defender. When we subtract the defender's result from the attacker's, that gives us a 3, and that gets added to this number. Whatever this D6 check is you're performing here, it's the difference between these two that gets added to that. If it is equal to or under their morale value, nothing happens. But when you beat the morale value, that's when the unit starts taking damage or step losses. So since we have beat their morale value of 6, we got a total of 9, they are going to become shaken. And this is going to be a progressional value. So had they already been shaken, they would take a step loss. They would become a half squad. And then if it's a shaken half squad that takes another hit, at that point they're eliminated. But something else to consider is how badly you beat their morale value by, right? So if you beat it by double, then they effectively take 2 hits at the same time. So let's say a good order full squad takes a hit by double its morale value, then it's going to become shaken and reduced. If it's a shaken and reduced, or a half squad just flat out, it's not shaken, and it takes a double its morale value, then it's going to be eliminated. And if you happen to beat it by triple, you will wipe a full good order squad completely off the board in 1 hit. Now, armored fighting vehicles can be affected, but only if they're unbuttoned. And if an armored fighting vehicle is unbuttoned and it fails a morale check due to this type of fire, it will become shaken. If it's already shaken and it fails a morale check, then the crew is going to abandon the vehicle. So when it comes to your infantry attacks, it's relatively simple. You just have to total your factors and your modifiers, things like leadership, range, degrading terrain, any of that stuff that comes into play. You'll total those factors, do your d6 checks, compare the results, and then if the attackers win, you're going to do that final d6 check and add the result and compare it to the defender's morale. And depending on how badly you beat that morale will determine how much damage they're going to take.